So I want to give you the opportunity. We do typically kind of have like a replay that we put up on our page. So we get lots of views there too. So of course, I want to give you the opportunity to be able to introduce yourself, to tell everyone who you are, where you're from, and what it is that you do.
Yeah. First of all, thank you so much for having me. I think this is great. So glad to be getting involved in different conversations virtually now that we are all quarantined. So it's great. Thank you for thinking of me. My name is Shelly Bell. I'm the founder of Black Girl Ventures. We work to create access to capital for Black and brown women founders. We have a very unique pitch competition, which is what our signature event and what we end up standing out for, where we do crowdfunding and pitching. So we travel across the country and we engage audiences in giving their money to Black and brown women founders as they pitch on stage. We recently expanded to recruiting 5 women across 5 different markets, and Durham is one of our markets. I am from Durham, North Carolina originally.
Oh, okay.
I am born and raised. I went to Hillside.
Okay.
And then with the Auntie, so Aggie Pride. I also lived in Charlotte. People in Charlotte.
I don't know about that one.
What?
I'm an Eagle.
Where are you? Oh Lord. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right.
Go ahead.
But with that, also I do a lot of traveling and speaking internationally, talking to entrepreneurs and just understanding the needs of community and how people get access to capital, helping people get access to capital. Also, something I'm really passionate about is helping people understand how to become thought leaders in their own right. So yeah.
Nice. I love it. So ladies that are here on the line, as you all know, we are here because I consider them to be like our pitch competition gurus, specifically in helping carve a space specifically, like Shelly said, for Black and brown women. So we are here to kind of talk about honing in and owning and how to actually prepare for your first pitch competition. Granted, some of you all may or may not be small business owners, but this information I feel like it still be valuable in just developing your own personal pitch as well. So just to kind of give you a description of the things that we're going to kind of discuss today, winning a pitch competition can earn your business anything from, let's say, $2,000 to $30,000 in cash in professional services. Pitch slams aren't just about cash and credibility, though. Win or lose, entering a contest is a clever way to meet investors in industry bigwigs with whom you couldn't rub elbows with otherwise. To ensure that your pitch soars, you'll need to research the judges, they say, ahead of time, practice essentially practice insanely, they say, and incorporate feedback from colleagues. But there's some other tips too that I feel like Shelly can definitely hone in on for us today. So Shelly, outside of everything that we're going to discuss today, just curious, like, how has your life changed since the coronavirus outbreak?
Oh wow. So I mean, we work from home traditionally. My team is remote. So that part wasn't necessarily the shift. I think, the shift has been, I have children. So I have a 5-year-old and a 17-year-old and a 21-year-old. So the 5-year-old, doesn't quite understand why we need to keep being in the house. I mean, she understands, but I think the being in the house thing for her is not so. Yeah. I put out a video that's on my Instagram about like her interrupting me while I'm trying to create content. So there's that. I also think, one of the things that my 17-year-old was like, "Ma, I didn't realize that you were, having so many calls every day." And I'm like, "What do you think I'm doing?" He's like, "Well, when he leaves the house, I'm in the bed, and by the time he comes back, I'm like laying down." And I'm like, "I'm laying down because I'm tired of talking all day." I'm listening to my voice now. So I think, just the uptick in the meetings has been insane. And the jumping on all the Zooms back to back has been insane. So the work hasn't necessarily changed. I mean, one of the things that we have had to do is now we're moving virtual. So a lot of our programming was in person. Like you said, our Durham event got canceled twice. One time for snow, one time for coronavirus. And now we have to move all of our operations online. So we have different questions that we have to ask ourselves. Like we focus hyper locally because I believe that, local leaders are going to be the way to make change.
Right.
But now the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do you go hyper local and virtual at the same time?
Right.
So, how do you cut through the noise? Now everybody's a content creator, overnight. So it's been an interesting journey in that sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Today was my day. I had like back-to-back virtual meetings. I was like, wait a minute, hold on. I can't do this. I was like, and I traditionally work from home too, but it's different when everybody is working from home, because you could kind of curve some things because they're like, oh, I have a lot of things to do at the office. Okay, great. We'll just connect next week. Everybody's like, oh, I can talk at 9. Right. And I'm like, okay. Right. So I definitely understand that portion of it. Out of curiosity of the ladies that are on the line today, just want to kind of poll the audience. Who are if you are a small business owner, and are you actually interested in participating in a pitch competition? Just want to get an idea so that we just kind of know who we're actually speaking to. So just drop that in the chat box, please, ladies, and we'll go ahead and go into our next question. Shelly, can you briefly go over what a pitch competition is? What is it, and what is the typical format of a pitch competition?
Yeah, so a pitch competition is an opportunity for you to, on stage, pitch your business or idea to judges and an audience who will decide who's the winner. And typically that winner wins resources, money, investment, different things like that. If you are the standard, like the traditional way that it happens is that there's about 8, anywhere from 8 to 10 people who pitch. You have about anywhere from 3 minutes to 5 minutes when it's live. If there's private pitching to an investor or a group of investors directly, the pitch is typically longer. But when you're pitching in front of an audience, you about 3 to 5 minutes. 3 to 5 minute pitches. And then after you pitch, the judges will give you feedback. And then you move off and the next person goes up. And so after everyone has done the round of pitches, at the end, the judges will deliberate. They will come back and they will decide who wins. So it's kind of like if you ever seen Shark Tank. So think of Shark Tank with an audience. That's basically what a pitch competition is. Go ahead.
Sorry. No, I was just going to ask, like, roughly how long do you have to actually pitch?
Yeah, 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay. So okay. I thought you said I don't. Go ahead.
Yeah, you typically have 3 to 5 minutes, 3-minute pitch or a 5-minute pitch. It depends on how the organizing entity puts it together. Our pitch competition is unique because the judges are not the end-all be-all of the competition. So what I realized is that Black women to start businesses is 6 times the national average, yet receiving less than 2% of venture capital. So in that case, if we take a room of 50 to 100 people and we only give 3 people or 4 people the power to make a decision on who wins, we're actually being a part of the problem and not necessarily being a part of the solution. Now, I'm not saying that pitch competitions in general are a part of the problem. I'm just saying that the way I looked at the power dynamics is to shift that where, yes, you have experts that will give you feedback on your pitch, but they don't make the final decision on whether or not you win. The entire audience makes a decision on whether or not you win. So to your point earlier, pitch competitions, well, one, everything's a pitch, right? This conversation right now is me pitching to you, right? Like, everything is a pitch. Even when you're applying for a business, for a job,
right? Your
interview is a pitch. If you are on the phone talking to somebody, your interview is a pitch. Commercials are pitches. You getting more customers, you're pitching. So getting comfortable with being the voice for your company is really what you're doing. Pitch competitions are speaking opportunities as well. So like while you're up there pitching, you're competing. It gives you a strong sense of what it means to enter a market and compete. So, yeah.
Good. No, I like that. And that was kind of the part that I was telling a lot of the ladies as we were talking on several of our other webinars, is that like this particular session could kind of set you up for all the other things that we're talking about. You know, switching careers, climbing the corporate ladder, you know, growing your small business, whatever the case may be. Like just learning and really honing in on your pitch can really take you a long way. You know, our pitch competitions for early stage companies only, and what are some examples of early stage pitches versus more established businesses that are in a part of pitch competitions?
Yeah, great question. So pitch competitions are, the organizer kind of gets to decide, because the application process will let you know, right? So they'll let you know who they're accepting. We accept people who are at this level. So for us, we accept people who are early stage, revenue generating, at least a year in business, investment under $1 million, or have raised under $1 million. Our goal is to help you get to that $1 million through relationships and building your revenue. So the competition itself gets to decide, right? And then you have some places that are more like accelerators, incubators that may accept later stage. So later stage looks like you have established your team, you have established your business model, you have been your revenue, you have been making revenue, and your revenue is growing. And now with an infusion of capital, you'll be able to scale towards exiting that business through getting acquired or becoming a publicly traded company, which is, you know, commonly referred to as going IPO. So the way to look at early stage means you haven't raised, you may have not, you know, raised certain levels of capital yet. Your business model is in place, but you're still growing your numbers in terms of creating more revenue, getting more customers. You're still working out parts of your business that you might want to keep or drop. Idea phase is typically you do not have any revenue yet. You're just thinking of something that you want to do.
And so there are pitch competitions for idea phase as well.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the early stage, you typically have an MVP, a minimum viable product. So that means you have something there that you're starting with that you want to get off the ground. Idea phase means it's still in your head. You know, maybe you started working on it a little bit, but you haven't landed on a business model, haven't landed on an MVP. Maybe you haven't even really tested it yet. You may be just getting into that, but it's still an idea. It's not generating any revenue yet. It doesn't have an MVP. Early stage, you have an MVP. You're either on the way to generating revenue or you're already generating revenue. Growth stage or later stage means you have an MVP. You're past an MVP now. You have the next iteration on the MVP. You're growing, your revenue is generating, you're establishing your team, and now it's needing an infusion of capital to create more revenue.
Nice. Thanks for breaking that down. I didn't realize that there was an idea phase pitch. I don't see them as often. Are they more common? What are the more common pitches?
I feel like early stage is the one that you see most public. So the ones that are most public, I feel like, are early stage. Yeah, but idea phase does happen. And sometimes it's based on the market. If your market doesn't have, like, in, you know, whatever city or region you're in, it has people starting businesses, but doesn't have a lot of people in the growth stage, then sometimes you'll see accelerators and incubators or organizers gearing toward the idea phase.
Gotcha.
But idea phase is not yet ready for an infusion of capital per se. You know, you're still in the kind of like friends and family round, using your own money kind of thing. You maybe have or have not generated revenue.
Gotcha. We had a couple of comments that came through. Let me see. Zoe, Jakia says she's not a small business owner, but she's hoping that the pitch strategies for negotiating she's asking, can the pitch strategies be used for negotiating a salary or job?
Absolutely. So 100%. If you can get your 1 minute, 2 minute pitch together, you could easily make a case for anything you want. Refund, because there's a level of comfortability that you get with speaking to what it is that you want, right? And speaking to what you want comes with a why you, right? Which I think is also about negotiating your salary. Like, why you for this raise? And for this raise, interestingly enough, raise could be raising money, raise could be getting a raise, right? Like, either way, you're raising money. So
right.
if you're getting a raise, you raising money. So the why you for this thing is a super important part of a pitch. So people focus on like the model is also important, but people focus on the traction, they focus on the model, they focus on, so like if you have all those things so great, then the next thing I'm wondering is like, but why you could do anything you want in the world, why you for this idea? Your story matters. And it's interesting because, and the question about the career, like asking for a raise is so interesting to me, because when we create, what I learned by observing different people's pitch decks was that the pitch decks I would see from minority founders use language that's always trying to prove that they can do the job, prove that they're worthy of the whatever. And the pitch decks that I would see from founders who are not minority founders would just keep telling them all the work they did. It would just be, this is what I did, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done, this is what I've done, but not necessarily like, you should do this because I've done it, or like the rhetoric is what we're not taught in our community, right? We're not taught the rhetoric around fundraising. How do you have the very fluffy, very lighthearted, I'm providing you with an opportunity here conversation, versus I'm showing you that I'm worth it based off of the last few things that I've done. Those are two different conversations.
Yeah.
Right? I'm providing you with an opportunity to grow your company with my expertise at this level by operating this way, because you will open up the capacity for me to do blah by giving me X.
Right.
It's from saying, I'll be at the meetings on time. I show up, I get my work done efficiently. I have mapped out these projects, and you see my value by what I've created. Like, that's a different conversation from saying, here's an opportunity for your company to grow based off of what you've seen me do, and the fact that your company has these needs, and the alignment for this is an opportunity.
Right. No, that's good. I hope y'all are taking notes, because I'm soaking it all in myself. Let's see. We had another question that had came through as well. She said, pitching is so important to packaging and presenting ourselves. That's why I'm here to learn as an entrepreneur who doesn't need funding, also a solo consultant, but need to in the future. Will use what I learned today to refine my pitching prospects. So she's more so just amening while she's here. Andrea said that she's in early stage startup business. Jakia says she likes that your story matters, the point that you had made. And then Zoe did ask a question. She said, Shelly, do you have a format for content or tips that we must include in our pitch decks?
Yeah, so I'll give it to you straight. What is it? Why is it? Why do I care about it? Like, why do I care about whatever you're creating? And that sounds harsh, but to just get to the point of what, not that you should just get to the point, but to just give you like the back end thoughts, right? Like on what people are going to be looking at. What is this thing? What does it do? Who is it for? Why do we care about it? Why should other people care about it? Now you don't like go directly at it with that language. I'm just giving you a very straightforward language, but you want to be thinking in that way, right? we love what we've done. Like you love what you created. I love what I created. That does not necessarily mean it has a customer. And then there's also like this idea that like because a few people told you that they would buy it, or a few people have asked you questions about the thing you're already providing, then we get the notion that we should pivot or move into another thing and provide another thing. And just because people are asking you questions does not mean they will become customers.
Yep.
So it is, what is this? What is this? You know, why is this? Mm-hmm. Who is it for? And why should anybody care about it? Mm-hmm. Now, the unique value proposition piece, when you look up how to create pitch decks and that kind of thing, you're gonna find it all over the place. What's your unique value proposition? And people get lost on it because they're trying to just think of the thing that they're doing that nobody else is doing. Don't do that. That's not what this is about. Okay? Mm-hmm. There's a McDonald's and a Wendy's right across from each other. Why do people eat at both? Because of their branding, their marketing, their story. The story they are telling. Wendy's has told the story of being family owned. The name Wendy is after the founder's daughter. Like this idea that like in their initial commercials were like, you know, even their logo was like a little girl with freckles on her face, right? Their story was family owned business in a way. It was, you know, this named after this little girl. You know, it was original beef patties. It is like, we provide this fresh whatever. McDonald's story was speed. Their story was speed and tastiness. And then they segmented out in a way where they when they are promoting to children, they promote it to the children, not the mom. Mm-hmm. Right? So
they do.
They do.
Woo, so my kids, I'm just thinking, like, why do y'all want this? But I get it now.
They took that toy factor and they promoted directly to the children. Mm-hmm. So it's a genius move. I think, so don't think about how what you're doing is not like anybody else. I will tell you, if you say that to a seasoned investor or pitch judge, in the back of their minds, they're thinking they don't know their market. They're thinking they don't know their product. Mm-mm. And not because you're not unique. You can be unique. But there's just too many people thinking things. And now we're so intellectually tied to each other through social media that you can't possibly say nobody else is thinking about what you're thinking, or nobody else is doing what you're doing. Nobody else ever, blah, blah. Like, we're not, like, it's just like, okay, well, that's not important to me. It's not important to me that nobody else is doing what you're doing. What's important, because if they're not, then I'm asking, well, why aren't they? Right? And have you thought about why they're not? Right?
Right.
But the flip side of that is the why you for this thing, the why your branding sells, the why your marketing sells will push you out, even in what feels like a noisy market.
That's good. That definitely. I have not an investor or anything of that nature, but I get the question a lot when I am talking to them, like, well, what is so different about your product from someone else's? And in my mind, I would think, like, let me figure out what everyone else is doing that I can do differently. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't, it would make me afraid to talk to them because I couldn't answer that. I feel like I couldn't answer it. But in real life, they're actually just looking for, what are you doing for your specific market? And I think that it probably will help you from a standpoint of being able to talk directly to your audience and not trying to be so different and just being true to your message. So it could also help beyond a pitch, but even just growing your brand per se as well too. So thank you for that little tad bit. And I hope on the line is soaking that in, because that was good.
100%. I mean, I think, with that question, your expertise, you could say, like, if you have been doing this your whole life, that puts you ahead of the game. If you have been a leader if you were a leader in college, that puts you ahead of the game. If you had worked with children before, you were running something with children, that puts you ahead of the game. If you were, so those are not necessarily things that nobody's doing or that your competitors not doing, but you have expertise that you bring to the table, and your story. I can't say that enough. Your story matters. Your story matters in interviews. Your story matters in pitch competitions. Your story attached to why you are involved in a particular experience or how you align with it. It's super important, and that is what pushes you out.
Nice. We'll go ahead and move into our next question because I feel like we can stay on that one for a while. So beyond the cash rewards, what are the benefits of actually participating and attending a pitch competition?
Yeah, so participating, I think like we all get really creative from an organizational standpoint, ecosystem builders of people who are doing pitch competition events and like what we can actually offer people. So you can get anything from Google Cloud credits, Amazon, AWS credits. You could get partnerships, which are huge for growing your revenue. You could get like at the Black Women Talk Tech competition recently, they gave away like a day to shadow a Walmart CEO. You get mentoring, advisors, which these kinds of things are priceless. Not necessarily just for the mentoring sessions, but because they open up network opportunities. One of the reasons why it's hard for people to raise money is because they don't have the network relationships. They don't know people. They don't know enough people. So, that's a great segue into the attendance factor. When you are attending a pitch competition, one, you're looking at other people and learning. So based off of what the judges ask them, you can ask yourself those questions about your own business.
Right.
And just like any other networking opportunity, it is an opportunity for you to get to know people who are thinking or doing the same things that you're doing. So grow your network, learn from others, meet some of the people that, if there's people, so people like me who like judge these competitions or create the competitions, organize the events, are on the panels or speaking, you show up to those because you may want to talk to that person.
Right.
So yeah.
So if you had to give 5, hold on, let's see.
It's funny because she also said 5.
I know, I just saw 5 and then that was it. Let's back up. Andrea, I want to make sure that we answer her question. She says that her business started out to attract children, but many mentors told her it's the moms that she needs to concentrate on. So, Andrea, are you just kind of putting it out there, or were you asking like a specific question?
Well, what I'll say to that is that going back to idea phase versus MVP versus growth, as you develop your business, you may find out that the market that you thought was your market is not. The person you thought was your customer is not. All right? And that is natural business development.
Yeah. Right.
I think when it comes to marketing to moms versus children, if you don't have at that time, like in the development of McDonald's, they had a large share on like commercials. Right. And so the children were sitting there looking at the commercials, not the parents. So what they realized is, while we're paying for this slot, why don't we try showing something different?
Right.
So I think depending on what your business is, and I can't speak to it because I don't know it. Teaching nutrition, education, and workshops in the right way. So nutrition is a parent thing, most likely, because it's the people who are buying the food that can buy into the service. And if you have to not only buy the food, but prepare the food. In a McDonald's case, all you got to do is show up and pay for the food. That's a different thing. But if I got to actually prepare the food and I got to think about the nutritional factors of it, then because I got to go buy it for them to create it. But I mean, there could be some ways that it appeals to children, but sounds like it is a very adult product to buy for their children and provide for their children.
Probably the only way to buy in the kids is to actually have like live events where they can like see it and touch it and taste it. That would be the only way I could think. And that's costly. Live events are.
Live events are definitely costly. But since it's nutrition, it's more service-based.
Yeah, she says they
Yeah, they
cook.
cook and prepare
Yeah.
the food. Okay, so they cook and prepare the foods with you. Then those
Hmm.
just sound like classes.
Yeah.
So in that case,
Yeah.
because the parent got to bring them, right? They're
Hmm.
not old enough. The parent has to drop them off. So the kid might be
Hmm.
interested. It might be showing signs of like being like liking to cook. But at the
Right.
end of the day, they can't drive, get
Hmm.
there. They can't sign up for it, right?
Right.
So you can't like go and fill out a form.
Hmm.
So when you think about, again, the McDonald's thing was so fast, and the parents were already customers.
Right.
So remember that. Remember that in a McDonald's scenario, the parents were already customers. And then they just double, tripled their revenue by focusing on the kids. Kids weren't their initial market.
Right. It sounds like Zoe and I have similar questions. So I'll see if I think that these are pretty similar. But the one that I had was, if you had to give 5 crucial steps in preparing for a pitch competition, what would it be? And Zoe's were 5 questions for an investor, assuming those kind of go hand in hand because the investors are at the pitch competitions.
Okay, 5 steps for preparing.
Mm-hmm.
One, I would say do a business plan canvas.
Okay.
And work on your business model. What's your business
Okay.
model? You want to know how you make money. You want to know how you grow. You want to, and then know your numbers. Study your numbers. What's your traction? What is your traction? What is your revenue? What is your revenue model? You want to ask yourself questions like, if I gave you $10,000 today, how much money could you make me? How much money could you make back? And it doesn't need to be immediate. You just need to know how this works deeply in terms of getting an infusion of capital and growing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know how many that was, and then I would say, I think it was
2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Business plan canvas, know your numbers, practice like the stage presence,
Mm-hmm.
like practice the stage presence, and then practice answering questions. So sometimes I've pitch coach people, right? And I pitch coach them, they get on stage, they knock the pitch out of the park, get to the funder questions, and it's dead in the water. Like, it's nothing because they can't answer the questions from funders. So that's a great segue into those question, which is 5 questions from investors. And this is going to be different because it depends on your pitch. If
Right.
you've given me everything I need to know, like what is it, why is it, what's the market, what's your traction, market value, your revenue, how you generate revenue, your business model, like who your team is, if you've given me all of that, then I'm going to have less questions. But some of the questions that they will ask is, how do you make money? How do you make money? Tell me, they will ask you about more details about your team.
Mm-hmm.
So they might ask you how many people are full-time. Sometimes they ask that right then. Sometimes that's the due diligence thing, which happens way later. Other questions might be, have you considered other customer segments? Because right then when people are looking at what you're doing, they might be like, you think that's your customer, but it's not. So they'll ask you on the spot, like, have you considered other customer segments or partnerships? And then the questions get real specific to your actual company. Mm-hmm. Another thing that people will do that feels kind of challenging, I think sometimes the founders, is they'll say things like, yeah, I've seen one of these before. So, like you said, could you tell me how this is different?
Mm-hmm.
Could you tell me how you plan to market this different, grow this different? I've also seen like people say things like, this sounds great, but you got your traction from this one thing. how do you plan to get traction later? Because sometimes people are like, oh, I got this grand kind of traction. It'll be things like maybe they posted something and it went viral. Well, that's not a sustainable experience because it went viral one time.
Right.
Yeah, there's a couple of things.
So if an investor asks a lot of questions, is that a red flag, or is that just them just kind of, is that a case by case for the personality? You know, there's overly inquisitive people, and then there's some that just like to give people a hard time, and then there's some that are truly confused.
So yes, yes to all of that.
Okay.
And I'll be honest with you. The people who just want to ask questions because they want to ask them are typically not investors.
Oh, okay.
It's just people on the panel that are deemed experts for other things. Maybe they're CEOs of companies. Maybe they have, I don't know, been a mentor and advisor. Maybe they, haven't been in business lately. I mean, like the people who ask the questions where you're like, really, did you really need to know that? Because I'm sitting there thinking that sometimes. Are typically the people that don't have capital to give you. Now, but investors typically, if they are active investors, are asking questions that relate to how they're going to make their money back.
Right. Understandable.
Yeah. So it's so somebody asked in the chat, like, is Shark Tank a great example of pitching? Learn from Shark Tank, definitely. One of the things that, I've heard someone say before is like, if Shark Tank did anything that was not so great in the world, is that they've now made everybody feel like they need venture capital. And that is just not true.
Yeah.
Like everybody doesn't need venture capital. So also some of the questions you'll get, maybe they may be asking you because they don't view you as venture backable. So some of those questions may feel hard because you're actually not venture backable, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would say, watching Shark Tank to learn is yes, absolutely do that. Watch Shark Tank to learn. Watch it to learn. I would say yes, watch it to
learn. Let me ask you this too. So from like the investor standpoint, should you ever give your and I'm sure that I don't know if this happens on the back end of a pitch competition, but should you ever give an investor like your actual earnings from like your bank account, like bank statements and things of that nature? Or should you just they should only accept the information that you present to them in like your pitch deck or at the pitch competition?
If you're getting an investment, they're going to do what's called due diligence. And you are going to have to show through statements, financial statements, that you actually have the capital, that you have the revenue, or you have the stability that you say you have. So, I wouldn't at a pitch competition give anybody my bank statements. You don't do that unless you're actually in due diligence. So due diligence means you are working toward getting that money. They're verbally committed. You've gone through some processes where you may have talked about like your cap table, who gets what ownership levels. And now you're moving into seeing if you're actually sustainable enough and stable enough for them to actually, that you can handle the infusion of capital.
Right.
So at that point, you may be asked for financial statements, and you will have to provide them in order to get the investment.
Nice. Okay. What event details would you suggest for someone looking to choose or enter a pitch competition that they should be mindful of? Because I've seen a few hoax out there of pitch competitions. So just curious, what are some red flags, or what are some positive things that should be public knowledge before entering into a pitch competition?
Ooh. That's a tough one, because even some of the well-branded, sort of high-profile people that have done pitch competitions have gotten dinged for, I didn't get my money on time, or they said I would win this prize, and what they really meant is they're going to break the money down into several different chunks. so everybody wins, or like some people don't always think that's favorable, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. So it's hard to say because for some of these you don't actually know. And I think that you want to look at how they communicate. You want to look at their branding, maybe even, do things like ask, most of the time the past pitch participants are on the site. So go ask a past participant, hey, what was your experience like? Would you pitch again there? Do you suggest that other founders pitch there? Those are 3 key questions that you can ask a past participant. The things that I've seen founders complain about most is just that they didn't get the money payout either timely or they didn't get it at all. Other than that, the actual contest or the actual event and the action of pitching seems to be okay.
Right.
Sometimes, okay, so there are some things where like if it's a pitch competition and they don't allow you to have a pitch deck, or then know that that's not necessarily a high-end, high-level competition. Right? That doesn't mean
you're talking about during the actual presentation. Okay, yeah.
That doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. I'm just saying that the caliber of that competition may be a little different. Yeah. That's what I would, yeah.
I mean, that would be kind of weird to do one without having any visuals with it, even though I have been to one and it was like that, and it was like everything was just going one in and out one ear kind of thing. So I was like, I can't see anything and it's so fast. So, but yeah, okay, I can see that. And that one was a little different.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions? Let's see. Oh, she said thank you. She said she won a Shark Tank competition but I still feel uncomfortable or not prepared, so these tips are very helpful. She said thank you. Do we have any other questions on the line? Any other ones? Because I pretty much wrapped up all the ones that we have. While they're kind of going through and thinking of some questions that they may want to drop in the box, what currently is Black Girl Ventures working on? What are some things that we could participate in virtually or in the future?
Oh yeah, for sure. So we're, like I said, we're moving all our content virtually. So we have a couple partnerships that we're working with to do more series content levels of sending out, like, just educational content. I'm also in conversation with people through, like, working with through SBA and some other people to have a roundtable on all the things that are available to you, and not just what is available, but how do you actually apply for it? So, are you ready to apply for it? Can we do a worksheet to, create more readiness or help you along? So those kinds of things. We have Black Girl Stream. So Black Girl Stream is actually me and two other women who came together to realize that we need to add a little joy in the world. So every Friday, we are streaming Black women Black women movies, and those movies are either movies that are actors, most lead actor, directed by, written by Black women. This Friday, actually, we are going to be streaming Fast Color, which is a superhero movie that is on Netflix, and we will be cosplaying. So we'll be asking people to dress up as a superhero, whatever superhero you want to make up, and come and screen with us. You don't have to dress up, but it'd be awesome to have that fun. You could do that. You could RSVP for that, and I'll drop the links in the discussion.
Okay.
We also are launching a Black Girl Ventures online network, so online community, where you can do peer-to-peer. It would just be a plethora of things. There's also webinar material there. We do virtual co-working every Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. And those conversations, just like so amazing. They're just like, today we people were dropping gems on like credit little known facts and little things that people do with their credit to jump their credit score up, things that we have not historically been taught. Business connections are made through the virtual co-working. It's just been so good. So definitely you can join us there. And then, yeah, we'll be delivering content. I'll send you the places to follow in the chat so you can join. Yeah.
I think we had a question that came through too while you're putting your information in there. She said, can you discuss more about the pitch deck? I've never heard of it. Who received it and how long, contents and the purpose, etc. of a pitch deck?
Okay, so what I would say is do a Google search for pitch decks and actually take some time looking through a bunch of them. And honestly, everything, the formal PowerPoint presentation is now called a deck. So let me start there. So what used to be just, just the pitch, a deck, like a PowerPoint presentation with slides, everybody now calls that a deck. A pitch deck is particularly centered around pitching an idea or thought or suggestion that you want to execute on for other people to join in. Join in be sponsors. It could be a sponsorship deck. Join in sponsors. It could be like you pitching your business. So it is join in on either become a customer or fund my business. Who receives it depends on where you're going with it, what you're doing with it, what you're pitching. So if you're doing a pitch deck for your company, then typically you're on stage pitching it. So it's not necessarily that someone receives it. If you're raising money though, you're going to be emailing people to actually get them to raise that money. So you're going to send it to them. If you're looking for sponsors, you're going to send that to them. Project explanations have also become decks. So they could be pitching a project to someone that's going to be a pitch deck. How long, contents and purpose? How long really depends on how long you have to pitch. A 3-minute deck is a little different from a 5-minute deck. Contents are the things we mentioned a little bit like prior on the call. What is it? Why is it? Who's it for? Why do we care? And the purpose is to get people to buy into whatever you're working on or your idea.
Right.
Team BGV is a network. It looks like I'm saying join the Black Girl Ventures team, but Team BGV is actually the network. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I saw that. I was like, are you hiring or something?
Nah. I have to think about it though. Maybe we should change that.
No, you're good. Do we have any other thoughts or any other questions that have come through for anyone? If not, let's see. Oh yeah, that's you. If we don't have anything else, we are right close up on our 1 hour mark. So this is perfect ending time. I did want to just make 2 short announcements. As we know, tomorrow we will be doing the, this is, I think, webinar 10.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, 10. This will be the 4th one of the week. So this was a little bit of a longer stretch of the week. So tomorrow we're going to be doing, and this is at 7 p.m. tomorrow instead, Eastern Standard Time, about climbing the corporate ladder as a woman of color. That's going to be with Sydney Brunson. She is on the diversity and inclusion team for Microsoft. It's a position that was kind of created within it. She pitched the position to a big corporate tech company, and made her way in. She's only about 28 years old as well. So I'm super excited to have her on tomorrow. So please, if you all can join that. And then our second announcement, I think that was it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, because that's the last one of the week. Shelly, I appreciate you so much for coming on board. I hope that you all have had a chance to grab the information online not online, in the chat box that Shelly has put in here. Shelly, I hope we can get you to Durham, not to visit family, but for the event.
We are not bowing out. We are not letting anything stop us. We are coming.
Y'all,
I
it's
think I
gonna happen
joined
sooner than later. I was ready that day. I was like, I'm just gonna have my hand sanitizer 6 feet away. We'll be good. We'll be good. Then they were like, yeah, the building's closed. I was like, oh my God, I'm stuck home.
I know. I appreciate you though for thank you so much for having me, and thank you for being willing to come out and have your hand sanitizer. Okay, we were gonna try to push forward, but they were like, nah. So that didn't work. Yeah.
So ladies, anyone that's on a call that's in the North Carolina area, when that comes, make sure you all join their mailing list so that you all can be aware. And when we know about it, we'll share it with our networks as well. Shelly, I appreciate you. And if you don't have any other kind of last closing thoughts, we can go ahead and wrap it up now.
Thank you. This is
You're
great.
welcome. All right. You all have a good remainder of the day.
All right. Bye.
Bye.